At 28 years old, he was sitting on tens of millions in funding. At 43, he was sitting on a yoga mat in Colombia, getting arrested by Interpol. That's one hell of a resume gap. But let's rewind, because this train wreck didn't happen overnight. The guy in question? Kaleil Isaza Tuzman, Harvard MBA Wall Street prodigy. A man who could sell vision so hard that investors forgot to ask for math. He launched a startup called govworks.com, basically the pay your parking tickets online revolution before anyone even understood what online meant. And investors, they didn't just believe in him, they practically worshipped him. Millions poured in. Cameras followed him. He even got his own feature documentary while the company was still bleeding cash. But charisma is a dangerous drug, and Kaleil, he overdosed on it, and that's where things get messy. Kaleil wasn't one of those underdog founders who came from nothing. Nope. This man was engineered for success. Born to wealthy Colombian parents, raised in New York private schools, fast-tracked into Harvard like it was his birthright. He didn't claw his way up. He was launched. Harvard undergraduate, Harvard MBA, straight into Goldman Sachs. Most people would have stayed there for life. Great salary. Manhattan office. Safe. But safe wasn't in Kaleil's vocabulary. To him, working for someone else was a form of poverty. He wasn't chasing money, he was chasing immortality. So one day in 1998, peak dot-com fever, he walks out of Goldman Sachs and decides he's going to reinvent how citizens interact with government. That's how govworks.com was born. Now, most people launching a startup gather a team, build a prototype, validate the idea. Kaleil, he didn't build a product. He built a pitch. The idea was simple. What if you could pay parking tickets online instead of standing in line like a peasant? That was it. That was the whole business. But Kaleil didn't sell it like a utility. He sold it like the future of democracy. And investors, they ate it up with a spoon. But first, he needed a sidekick. Enter Tom Herman, his childhood friend, the soft-spoken techie who actually knew how to build things. Perfect combo. Kaleil, the visionary mouthpiece. Tom, the quiet builder in the background. But let's be crystal clear. This was Kaleil's show. He was the face, the voice, the prophecy. And from day one, he didn't just want funding, he wanted fame. He actively courted journalists, magazine covers, TV crews. He let filmmakers literally follow him with cameras to document his historic rise. Imagine launching a business and immediately hiring people to film your future success story before you've even signed your first customer. That's Kaleil. He wasn't running a startup. He was directing a movie, starring himself. And investors, they weren't evaluating spreadsheets. They were buying into a character. Because Kaleil had a gift, he could make ordinary sound inevitable, and inevitable sound world-changing. And that kind of confidence is intoxicating. He didn't just raise money. He sucked it out of Wall Street like a vacuum on steroids. First pitch meeting, investors were squinting at a PowerPoint with zero product, zero users, and one crazy slide titled, "The Future of Government." They ask, how many cities are signed up? And Kaleil, calm as a Zen master, goes, "None yet, but trust me, they will." Boom. $4 million, then $10 million, then $36 million. At one point, he raised over $60 million without the company even turning a profit. This wasn't fundraising, this was hypnosis. And then comes the circus. From two guys in a loft, Kaleil and Tom Herman, the quiet tech wizard who actually built stuff, to a Manhattan office that looked like a startup Vegas. Glass walls reflecting ambition like cheap mirrors. Leather chairs that cost more than Tom's first car. Foosball tables for team synergy. Executive chefs preparing sushi while engineers screamed at broken servers. And the money? Gone faster than you can say .com bubble. Tom Herman starts getting nervous. He's like, "Kaleil, maybe we should slow down a bit. Cash is burning." Kaleil smiles, taps his pen against the PowerPoint clicker. "Tom, this isn't burning cash. This is history in motion." Meanwhile, employees are quietly panicking. Servers crash. Support tickets pile up. City officials are confused, and somewhere, someone in HR is muttering, "Where did this whole ass budget even come from?" And the investors, big names like Goldman Sachs, Mayfield Fund, KKR, are now eating out of his hand. They're not asking how it works. They're asking when it works and trusting Kaleil to make it happen. He's literally walking around the office telling the team, "Don't worry about the city signing up. Focus on looking like we're winning. Cameras don't lie. People do." And the cameras? They don't lie. Startup.com, a full documentary crew, is filming every chaotic second, capturing him as a visionary genius. But inside, Tom knows the cracks are widening. Co-founder tension growing. Engineers pulling all-nighters just to keep the site from collapsing. PR teams spinning like a merry-go-round to convince the world everything is fine. And Kaleil? He's loving it. He's the star of the show, the guy who can pitch a website as a revolution, raise millions on nothing but charm, and make every office drama feel like part of the narrative. But here's the thing. Momentum is a fragile mistress. Investors start whispering, is it too good to be true? Employees start quietly panicking, and Tom Herman starts hinting at real problems, but everyone else is too busy filming, shaking hands, and throwing pizza parties with champagne bottles because .com culture is wild like that. And just like that, Kaleil's perfect storm is forming. Money keeps coming. Employees keep panicking. Cameras keep rolling. Investors keep believing. And Tom Herman? Well, he's realizing the story he signed up for might end with doors locked, lights out, and zero product shipped. But Kaleil doesn't see collapse. He sees another round of funding, another chance to tell the story, another headline. Because that's the problem with building an empire on charisma over code. Reality always catches up. Oh, but it gets worse. So here's where it all starts to fall apart, like a cheap deck of cards. The cameras were rolling, investors were smiling, the sushi chefs were chopping, and the product was still barely functioning. Tom Herman starts waving red flags like a traffic cop in a hurricane. Kaleil, the code isn't working. Cities aren't signing up. Support is a nightmare. Kaleil, calm as ever. Tom, relax. It's all part of the story. Remember, we're selling a vision, not parking tickets. He's laughing. Everyone else is smiling. The documentary crew, loving it. The press, eating it up. But behind the scenes, pure chaos. Engineers pulling 18-hour days, sleeping under desks. Clients screaming, your site just ate our tax payments. Investors starting to notice the glorious facade isn't matching reality. And then the first domino falls. An employee accidentally leaks internal numbers to a journalist. Numbers showing cash is almost gone, burn rate skyrocketing, and no product adoption. The article hits, investors start panicking. Headlines read, govworks.com, revolution, or .com disaster. And here's Kaleil's move, classic spin, charm, and bravado. He walks into the investor meeting, smiles, shakes hands, and says, everything's fine. These numbers, just noise. The future isn't numbers. It's vision. And somehow, for a moment, it works. Investors nod. Cameras roll. Buzzwords fly. But Tom, he's sweating bullets. This isn't sustainable, he whispers. Then comes the co-founder drama. Tom Herman is frustrated, everyone else is tired, and Kaleil's ego is maxed out. He's giving pep talks like a motivational speaker saying, we're building history here. Forget the crashes. Forget the deadlines. The world will remember us. Meanwhile, the company is imploding internally. Meetings run over 3 hours. Product bugs pile up. Customer complaints ignored. Employees start quitting midweek. And then, classic .com finale, money starts drying up. Investors are hesitant. Press is suspicious. The documentary is capturing every meltdown moment, from Tom yelling at an engineer to Kaleil calmly sipping espresso while chaos erupts around him. It's beautiful, tragic, absurd. And yet, Kaleil does what he does best. He pivots. Forget govworks.com. That's the old story. We're moving on. Bigger, better, KIT digital. Yes, he's going to do it all over again because the man doesn't crash, he reinvents the crash. So you think a .com disaster would stop a guy like Kaleil? Huh. Nope. Not even close. He's like a phoenix, but instead of ashes, he's sitting in a conference room full of investors, smiling, charming, and acting like the last 60 million burned. Never happened. Enter KIT Digital. Same guy, new story. This time, streaming media, video, tech that everyone suddenly had to have. Investors? Eager? Wall Street? Salivating. First pitch meeting. Kaleil strolls in, slides click, charisma dialed to 11. We're not just building a company, he tells them. We're shaping the future of digital media. And you can be part of it. Investors nod like hypnotized bobbleheads. He raises $50 million in the first round. And then bam, $100 million in the next. He's got the same playbook, but now he's polished it. Full executive team. Press coverage everywhere. Analyst reports quoting him like he's the second coming of Jobs. The man's ego? Deliciously massive. At internal meetings, he's walking around like a medieval king inspecting peasants, pointing at charts saying, this is our destiny? Don't screw it up. And yet, the company's finances are already a beautiful mess. Tom Herman would have had a heart attack if he looked too closely. Again, engineers are quietly trying to make sense of messy accounting. PR is spinning launches, and investors keep ignoring the smoke because the flames look so pretty. Employees start noticing the pattern. Kaleil is charming on stage, but inside, orders change by the hour. He's moving money like pieces on a chessboard. Consultants whisper, I think he's inflating numbers, maybe just a little. And investors eat it up anyway. Why? Because the narrative is flawless. He's not a founder. He's a storyteller. If you can convince Wall Street the future is already here, he says to his CFO, who is sweating bullets, it becomes real. Numbers are optional. And here's the kicker. Wall Street believed him. Analysts put out reports. Headlines read, Kit Digital, the future of streaming is here. They didn't see the red flags. They didn't care. Charisma greater than reality. Investors kept pouring money like it was water. Kaleil kept smiling, and the company kept pretending everything was perfect. But it wasn't. Behind the scenes, massive acquisitions funded on debt, accounting adjustments that no one really double-checked, employees quietly panicking, competitors confused how a barely profitable company could raise hundreds of millions in just months. And Kaleil, he's loving every second. We're rewriting the rules, he says in one meeting. Don't worry about the critics. They're just jealous, except, of course, critics do exist, and the SEC is starting to notice tiny inconsistencies. But for now, it's all hype, glory, and Wall Street checks raining down like confetti. So here's the thing about living on hype and charm. Eventually, reality shows up uninvited. For Kaleil, that reality was the SEC. They weren't sending a friendly email. They were digging, investigating, asking questions. Numbers that didn't add up. Check overstated revenue. Check inflated assets. Check Kaleil's office, calm as a spa, cameras still rolling, investors still nodding, employees quietly praying. This is just standard accounting interpretation, he tells a junior analyst. Nothing to worry about. Keep smiling. But evidence doesn't care about charm, and Kaleil had plenty. Inflated contracts, questionable acquisitions, fake revenue streams, the golden boy aura evaporating. At first, he tries the classic moves, spin, charm, denial. Investor calls, he's smiling. Media inquiries, smooth as silk. Employees whisper, this isn't sustainable. But the SEC doesn't negotiate. They dig. Numbers and documents pile up. Internal audits reveal gaps. Investor trust starts to fray. Headlines appear, Kit Digital under investigation. Is the .com darling hiding something? Kaleil decides to go rogue. He hops a flight to Colombia. Luxury hotel, yoga mats, green smoothies, meditation sessions. Hiding in plain sight like a startup guru gone rogue. Meanwhile, SEC digging deeper. Investors panicking, employees scrambling, media sniffing blood. Tom Herman shakes his head. I can't believe this is happening. Kaleil stretches on his yoga mat, takes a sip of green smoothie, and mutters, I've sold visions. I've spun narratives. Surely I can talk my way out of this. Then the cinematic moment hits. The calm Colombian morning, deceptive. Birds chirp. Tourists sip coffee. Sunlight cuts through palm trees. Bam! Black SUV screeches. Doors slam. Agents in suits swarm the lobby. Cameras flash like a movie set. Kaleil squints, then smooths his hair. Oh, that's new. Handcuffs click. Flashbulbs pop. Yoga mat trampled. Tourists panic. Gentlemen, he says, calm as ever, I assume this is a misunderstanding? Nope, no misunderstanding. Inside the SUV, traffic, flashing lights, cameras following, journalists typing. He waves sarcastically. Smile for the documentary, he probably thinks, even if it's my last scene. Arrival at the holding facility. Doors slam, security protocols, questions and paperwork, clicks of locks echo like a drumbeat on the soundtrack of his rise and fall. Kaleil's inner monologue, I could have avoided this, but where's the fun in a predictable ending? And just like that, the man who built two massive companies on charm, hype, and questionable numbers is now a headline, a news clip, a cautionary tale. Courtroom day. The cameras are rolling. Reporters scribble notes like their lives depend on it. Investors peek through the back rows. Employees, some curious, some embarrassed, all thinking, wow, this is really happening. Kaleil walks in, suited, calm, hair perfect, ego intact. He's like a movie star showing up for the premiere of his own trial. Judge, impassive, jury, mixed looks, prosecutors, smiling like they've been waiting for this moment all their lives. Inside his head, probably something like, okay, I've spun narratives, raised hundreds of millions, dodged chaos, and charmed Goldman Sachs. Surely I can charm a courtroom? He sits, adjusts papers, smiles at the audience, nods at Tom Herman in the back. Yes, Tom is still there, quiet, tense, the technical brains of the empire watching the man who almost destroyed everything with a wink and a PowerPoint. Prosecutor starts. Mr. Tuzman, you allegedly inflated revenue and misled investors. How do you plead? Kaleil, visionary. He mutters under his breath, then aloud, not guilty, Your Honor. I built companies. I innovated. I delivered what the market wanted. And the courtroom performance begins. Lawyers argue, charts flash, emails read aloud, numbers crunch. Kaleil's inner monologue narrates the chaos with a mix of pride, sarcasm, and disbelief. They don't understand storytelling. They don't understand momentum. I sold the future, not numbers. Why won't they see it? The media? Loving it. Every awkward silence, every smirk, every subtle gesture, front page headlines, social feeds buzzing. He's still a spectacle. Tom Herman quietly mutters to an attorney, he did this to himself again. Meanwhile, investors watch the man who hypnotized them for millions squirm under law's microscope. Witnesses testify. Emails read aloud. Mismanaged acquisitions exposed. Inflated revenue dissected. And Kaleil? He spins. Small jokes, little sarcasm, subtle winks at the jury. But even the most charming narratives can't hide evidence forever. Mini-drama highlights. Judge bangs gavel. Tension spikes. Prosecutor unveils damning documents. Kaleil whispers to Tom, relax. If I can convince Wall Street, surely I can convince them. But reality bites. Legal consequences loom. Reputation crushed. Empires built on charisma and hype don't survive audits. And in that moment, Kaleil realizes vision without substance only works until the law catches up. Stories and charm can manipulate investors, media, even employees, but numbers never lie, and paper trails are relentless. The chapter closes with a cinematic thought. He built two massive companies from charisma, hype, and questionable numbers, and now sits in a courtroom staring at a judge, wondering if storytelling can save him one last time. The dust settles. Cameras gone, investors nursing wounds, employees scattered, headlines slowly fading. But the story? Oh, the story lingers. Kaleil Isaza Tuzman, visionary, hype machine, courtroom headline, international fugitive turned defendant, becomes a living case study. He's no longer just a man. He's a warning label. Charisma can raise millions. Hype can attract Wall Street like moths to a flame. Momentum can sustain an empire, but only temporarily. But reality doesn't care about charm. All the PowerPoints, all the pitches, all the vision in the world, numbers don't lie, and eventually someone checks them. Investors lost millions, employees burned out, clients confused, media had a field day. And Kaleil? Well, he learned, maybe the hardest lesson of all, no narrative can outrun the law. Yet, true to form, there's still a little Kaleil magic in the story. He rebuilt twice. He captured imaginations. He made headlines, documentaries, even inspired cautionary tales. People will talk about him for years. Not for his product, not for his innovation, but for the sheer audacity, the rise and fall spectacle, and the narrative he sold. The moral? Hard, punchy, real ambition without accountability is a ticking time bomb. Charm can manipulate, but only temporarily. Vision is powerful, but if it's built on fiction, reality will collect its bill. And somewhere, in a quiet cell, a man once hailed as a tech messiah probably still thinks, I didn't fail, I just created a really intense story.